All right, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into how to make social media work for your cottage food business. You sent over a ton of articles and resources, so it's obvious that you're ready to tackle this challenge. And
Yeah.
you know what? You're really smart to be
Yeah.
because get this. Do you know that the cottage food industry is bringing in over $5 billion a year?
Wow.
That's a lot of people buying cookies and cakes and all kinds of amazing homemade food.
Yeah, that's amazing. What's really interesting about that is, the growth is happening at the same time that we're seeing a huge shift in how people buy food.
Yeah.
Seems like everyone is really craving that personal touch, that homemade feel. And you know where they go to find it?
Where?
Social media.
Makes sense to me. Okay, but beyond just being trendy, what advantages does social media offer cottage food businesses? I mean, we're not talking about big national brands here.
Right. And that's a really great point. When it comes to cottage food, social media can really help you level the playing field. Because you're not competing with these massive marketing budgets. You're connecting with your community directly. And since most cottage food laws restrict you to local sales, that hyper-local targeting you can do on social media, it's a game changer.
Okay, so it's cost effective and it helps you tap into that local market. But one article mentions something about building a brand with personality. What does that even mean for a small business, like let's say a baker?
Okay, well, think of it this way. Anyone can go buy a cookie at the supermarket, right?
Okay.
But on social media, you're not just selling cookies. You're selling an experience. So yeah, you want to show off those gorgeous gooey chocolate chip cookies for sure, but also you can share that secret ingredient that's been passed down from your grandma. Or maybe post a quick video of you whipping up a batch in your kitchen. Let people into your world a little bit. Let them see the story behind your food.
That's a great idea. Okay, so it's all about being genuine and letting your passion shine through. But there are so many different platforms out there. You got Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and even Pinterest and Nextdoor. I mean, how do you even choose where to start?
Yeah, you do not need to be on all of them. Don't feel like you have to be everywhere at once. In fact, that's probably just a recipe for burnout. The best thing to do is think about who your ideal customer is and where they're already spending their time online. Are they the kind of person that's scrolling through beautifully styled food photos on Instagram? Do they love getting recipe inspiration on Pinterest? Or maybe they're catching all the latest food trends on TikTok. Pick one or two platforms that feel right for you and your product, and then really nail those before you even think about expanding.
That's great advice. It's easy to get overwhelmed trying to do everything at once. Okay, so let's say I've chosen my platforms. How do I make my profile stand out? What are the must-haves?
Well, your profile is like your digital storefront. It's that first impression. It needs to be inviting and informative. So, first things first, make sure your branding is consistent across all your platforms. Same logo, same color, same vibe. And that profile picture should be a showstopper. It could be your logo or an amazing shot of your best-selling product, something that's really going to make people stop scrolling.
Okay, so branding. Check. Got a profile picture? Check. But what about the content of my profile? What do I tell people?
Keep it clear and concise. What do you sell? Where are you located? How can people order from you? Make it super easy for them to become customers. And here's a little tip that a lot of people miss. Be upfront about your cottage food status. Not only is it often a legal requirement, but it can also be a real selling point. People love knowing that their treats are coming from a real person, made with love in a home kitchen.
I like that. Transparency with a touch of personality. So we've got these great profiles set up, but what do we actually post? That's where content strategy comes in, right?
Exactly. And this is where it starts to get fun. But first, we need a little bit of a mindset shift. We're not just posting pretty pictures. We're telling a story, your story. And each piece of content is like a chapter.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this story. What kind of chapters are we talking about?
Well, for starters, let's talk about mouth-watering product photos. Those are non-negotiable. Close-ups, beautiful lighting, really highlighting the textures, make people practically taste those cookies through the screen.
But you said it's more than just pretty pictures. What else can we be doing?
Okay, so let's say you're known for your incredible pumpkin spice cookies. Don't just show the finished product. Take people behind the scenes. Show them sifting the flour, mixing the spices, maybe even that old handwritten recipe card you got from your grandma. Give them a little sneak peek into your world.
Oh, I love that. It's like those cooking shows where they show all the different steps. Makes you feel more connected to the food somehow.
You got it. And don't forget about the power of customer testimonials. If you have someone raving about your latest creation, share it. People trust other people more than they trust marketing, right?
Sure.
It's like having your best friend recommend something to you. Just carries more weight.
That's a really great point. I'm always more likely to try something if I see real people enjoying it. So we've got photos, we've got behind the scenes, we've got testimonials. What other chapters can we add to this story?
Well, think about what makes your cottage food business special. Maybe you use all organic, locally sourced ingredients. Share that. Maybe you have a special technique for decorating your cakes. Show it off. You can even use your content to teach people something new. Share a quick tip for baking the perfect pie crust, or maybe a fun fact about the history of chocolate chip cookies. It all adds value and positions you as an expert.
I am so ready to start posting right now, but before I get too carried away, there's one thing we need to cover. Compliance.
Absolutely. Social media is an incredibly powerful tool, but you have to use it responsibly. You need to understand the cottage food laws in your state, especially when it comes to online sales and advertising. What are you allowed to say about your products? How can you accept payments? Can you ship your products all over the country, or are you restricted to local delivery? Be upfront about any limitations and definitely include allergen information. Not only does it protect you legally, but it also builds trust with your customers.
Right, compliance isn't just about avoiding trouble. It's about building a sustainable business based on honesty and transparency. Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about why social media is so important, how to choose the right platforms, how to make your profile stand out, and even how to create really engaging content. What's coming up next?
In part 2, we're going to be exploring the exciting world of community engagement, and I'll teach you how to turn those followers you have into loyal customers. We'll also dive into the data side of things, and we'll learn how to track your success and make sure that all of your online efforts are translating into real-world results. See you then.
Welcome back. In part one, we talked about, setting up your cottage food business on social media, picking the right platforms, making your profile shine, creating content, telling your story.
Right, and now we're going to talk about how to actually bring that online presence to life and turn it into a community of loyal customers. Because a beautiful Instagram feed, well, it's great and all, but it doesn't mean much if it's not actually bringing in orders for your delicious creations.
That's so true. It's not just about vanity metrics or anything. So how do we turn those followers, those likes, into paying customers?
Wow.
People who are excited to buy our homemade goodies.
It all comes down to engagement, building relationships. Think about it. Would you rather buy from some faceless brand, the kind that just posts product photos all day long? Or would you rather buy from someone that you feel like you actually know? Someone who takes the time to answer your questions, respond to your comments, someone who seems like they care.
Yeah, I would definitely go with the second option. But to be honest, I'm a little intimidated by the whole engagement thing. It just seems like a lot to keep up with, especially when you're already busy baking and running a business.
I totally get it. It can definitely feel overwhelming, but it really doesn't have to be. Even just setting aside a few minutes every day to check your notifications, respond to some comments, maybe strike up a conversation or two. It's all about quality over quantity. A
Yep.
few genuine interactions can go a long way in building those relationships.
Okay, so that feels a little bit more manageable. But what about when you're just swamped with orders and you don't have a lot of time for social media? How do you stay engaged without getting totally sucked in?
Well, the good news is that a lot of platforms have these scheduling tools now, so you can actually plan your posts in advance. Maybe spend an hour or two each week batch creating some content. Schedule it to go out at specific times. And then you can relax knowing that your social media is taken care of even when you're busy.
Oh, that's amazing. I love the idea of batching tasks and just getting ahead of things. But let's talk specifics. What kind of engagement are we talking about here? Is it enough to just comments and respond to questions?
That's definitely a good starting point. But you can totally take it even further. Ask questions in your captions to spark conversations. Run some polls to get people talking about their favorite flavors or what kind of seasonal treats they're looking for. You can even do a Q&A session where you share your expertise and answer questions.
Ooh, those are really good ideas. It's almost like you're inviting people into your kitchen and just having a casual conversation over a cup of coffee. You're creating that personal touch that you don't really get with traditional advertising.
Exactly. And one thing a lot of people forget about is user-generated content. Resharing photos or videos of customers enjoying your products. That's super powerful.
Mm.
It's authentic, it shows social proof, and it also makes your customers feel valued.
That's a great point. I mean, okay, so We're engaging with our followers, building relationships, creating a sense of community. But how do we know if it's actually working? How do we measure success beyond just looking at the number of likes?
That's where data comes in. There are a few metrics that you want to track. So first, are your follower numbers going up? And I'm not just talking about any followers. Are you attracting the right kind of followers? The ones who are actually interested in your products and are going to become customers.
Right. Like 1,000 followers across the globe doesn't really help you if you can only sell locally because of cottage food laws. So how do you make sure that you're attracting that local audience?
Well, it comes back to that hyper-local targeting we were talking about. Use location tags in your posts. Engage with other businesses and community groups in your area. Participate in conversations that are happening locally. The more you integrate yourself into that local online scene, the more likely you are to attract the right people.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like you're planting seeds in fertile ground, right? Instead of just throwing them out there randomly. But beyond followers, what are some other metrics we should be looking at?
Engagement rate. So what percentage of people who see your content actually interact with it? Are they liking? Are they commenting? Are they sharing your posts? Are they clicking the link in your bio to visit your website or place an order? These are all signs that your content is working and people are taking action.
Okay, so it's not about vanity metrics. It's about making sure that those likes are turning into real engagement and action.
Yes, exactly. And one thing that's often overlooked is just direct feedback. Ask your customers how they found you. Did they find you through social media? And if so, which platform? This is really valuable information that tells you which platforms are performing best for you and where you should be focusing your efforts.
I like that. It's almost like you've got a built-in focus group. You're getting insights from your customers. But what happens when you've been tracking your data and you realize that, maybe things aren't quite where you want them to be? Maybe your engagement is kind of low or you're not seeing a lot of traffic to your website. What do you do?
First of all, don't panic. It's all about experimenting and making adjustments. If something's not working, try something new. Switch up your content formats. Experiment with different posting times. Even analyze what your competitors are doing and see if you can learn something from them. The great thing about social media is that it's constantly changing, so you have all these opportunities to learn and grow.
I love that. It's like a fun challenge. But before we get too carried away with experimenting, I want to circle back to compliance.
Yes, so important. As you're building your community and engaging with your audience, always keep those cottage food regulations in mind. Be transparent about your limitations, your ingredients, allergen information, that kind of thing. It's not just about protecting yourself legally, it's also about maintaining that trust and transparency with your customers. That's so important.
Such an important reminder. Compliance isn't just a box to check. It's a vital part of having a successful business. Okay, so I think we've covered a lot when it comes to community engagement, data, compliance. Anything else you want to add before we move on to our final takeaways?
I guess the main thing is this. Building a community takes time. It takes effort. But it also takes a genuine desire to connect with your audience. And when you get it right, it's so rewarding. You're creating this loyal following of people who not only love your products, but also feel a connection to you and your brand. And that's pretty special.
All right, we're back. For the final part of our deep dive into cottage food and social media, we've covered a lot of ground. Choosing the right platforms, making a great profile, creating content that's engaging, even getting into the art of community engagement.
And let's not forget the data and the importance of following those cottage food laws. Phew, it's been quite the journey.
It really has. But sometimes I think when you cover so much ground, it's easy to lose sight of the big picture. So let's try to, distill everything we've talked about into some key takeaways for our listeners. As they're getting started with social media, what are the must-remembers?
Well, I think we should start with the foundation. Why are we even doing this? Why do we even care about social media? It's not just to be trendy. It's because it's such a powerful tool for connecting with customers in a way that we really haven't been able to before.
So we're not posting just for the sake of posting. We have a real purpose.
Exactly. And that leads into the next point. Social media is a marathon, not a sprint. Don't get discouraged if you don't see those results right away.
Consistency and patience. Words to live by. What else?
Choice. Remember all those platforms we talked about, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You don't have to be on all of them. Pick one or two where your target audience hangs out and the ones that feel right for you.
Yeah. I remember you said it's better to be amazing on one platform than to be mediocre on 5.
Exactly. Quality over quantity, always. And once you've chosen your platforms, make those profiles really shine. Remember, consistent branding, a clear bio, delicious photos. Let your personality show.
It's like you're opening up a shop in a prime location. You want to make sure your storefront is beautiful and inviting. Okay, so our shop is all set up, but now we need to, stock the shelves. What kind of content should we be putting out there?
Think of it like you're putting together a menu. Beautiful product photos, those are your main course. But don't forget to spice things up with behind-the-scenes content, customer testimonials, maybe some educational stuff. Show off your expertise a little.
Variety. It's like having a menu that makes everyone want to come back for more. But even with the best menu, you have to get people in the door. How do we make sure our content is reaching the right people?
That's where community engagement comes in. It's not enough to just like post and disappear. You have to respond to comments, answer questions, participate in conversations, make people feel heard.
Right. It's about building those relationships, not just broadcasting a message.
Exactly. And don't forget how powerful reviews and testimonials are. Happy customers can be your best advocates. Those real voices, they mean a lot more than any marketing campaign.
It's word of mouth, but amplified. Okay, so we've got great engagement, but we have to make sure it's actually translating into, orders. How do we measure success? Beyond just likes, I mean.
Data, data, data. Keep an eye on your followers. Are they growing? Are they the right kind of followers? And what about engagement? Are people liking, commenting, sharing? Go to your website. Don't be afraid to ask your customers, how did you find me?
It's like having a map, a roadmap to success. But sometimes you got to adjust your course along the way, right?
Exactly. Social media changes all the time, so you have to experiment and adapt. Don't be afraid to try new things. See what's working. If something isn't working, change it.
So it's a journey of learning. But before we go, I want to bring up compliance one last time.
You're right. We can't emphasize this enough. Cottage food laws are so important. Be transparent about everything. Limitations, ingredients, allergens. It's not just about staying out of trouble. It's about having a sustainable business that people trust.
It's doing business the right way. Okay, so we've talked about so much. What's the one big takeaway, the thing our listeners should really remember?
It's a tough one. I guess it would be this. Social media is really about connection, connecting with people, sharing your passion, your story, what makes your food special. Focus on those relationships. Provide value to your audience. Build a community around what you do. And I think you'll be really surprised by what you can achieve.
That's a great point. And don't forget, you can always head over to the Marketing Food Online YouTube channel. They have a ton of great tips and resources just for cottage food businesses.
Yeah, they're a great resource. And as you're getting started on this journey, think about what makes you different. What's your story? That's how you'll stand out. That's how you build a brand that people really connect with.
And that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into social media for cottage food businesses. Happy baking and happy posting, everyone.